This senior Hamas official stormed out of a CNN interview.
You just want to listen to yourself. It's okay. That's enough. It's fine.
No, I'm going to quote you now. I'm going to quote you now, a Palestinian from Gaza.
You want just to hear to yourself. Thank you very much. I have to finish that. Thank you.
Let me ask you, I'm going to quote you.
CNN journalist Jim Shuto briefly pressed senior Hamas official Osama Hamdan in an interview on whether or not Hamas takes responsibility for the loss of civilian life during this war. Of course, Osama refused to answer this question and ended up storming out of the CNN interview without really addressing it in the first place. And before I continue, do not get me started on politics. This video has absolutely nothing to do with CNN or the journalism of CNN. Stop this video now, go back to my channel and all the other videos from the past 11 months. You will find at least a dozen where I include interviews from places like Fox News. Put your politics or subjectiveness to poor journalism to the side. It's about who is on the other end of the line and what their actions and words, or lack thereof, prove to us even more. And if this interview was held by Fox News, the same exact thing would have happened. Hamas is Hamas. They see America as the world's largest threat, and it ends right there. Now, let's carry on and let's give Hamas credit where credit is due. At least they're consistent. They're consistent about lying. They're consistent about having obscene double standards. They're consistent with their words and their actions by both showing and telling everyone else in the world that their goals are violence, are destruction, and nothing in between, even in Gaza.
You didn't show the Israelis killing thousands of Palestinians within those 20 years. In 2014, Israel attacked Gaza and they killed more than 4,000 Palestinians. You didn't see that.
I'm going to address what happened between Israel and Gaza in 2014 in just 1 second. But before I do, I have to mention that this double standard is dosed in almost every single thing for the pro-Hamas and pro-Palestinian narrative. They just choose to apply different standards of judgment and expectations of Israel and its actions compared to any other country in the world, including themselves. All of their justifications just ignore historical and regional context, just like his response when referring to Operation Protective Edge in 2014. So let's talk about it. During Israel's military operation in 2014 in Gaza, Israel was heavily criticized for the civilian casualties that occurred during its airstrikes. Honestly, the same exact way that they're criticized now. And many in the pro-Palestinian movement condemned Israel for disproportionate response by its forces. But this movement, and in this interview, Osama, a senior Hamas official, downplay the indisputable fact that Hamas, which governs the Gaza Strip, launched thousands of rockets at innocent Israeli civilians during this period in 2014. What about that? They deliberately used civilian areas as launching sites and human shields. Yes, not just back in 2014, right now too. So while Israel's actions were scrutinized and condemned worldwide, Hamas's tactics, which directly contributed to the loss of innocent life, like Osama was so wise to bring up himself, received less attention and were rationalized as resistance. Since when is the deliberate use of human beings as human shields a sudden innocent freedom fight and then rationalized as a resistance?
You still keep watching what is happening by the Israeli eyes, listening by the Israeli ears, acting as if you are part of Israeli military attack against the Palestinians. It seems that you support the killing of 40,000 Palestinians. Let's go to West Bank. There is no Hamas. There is no action from Hamas, and the Israelis have killed already 800 Palestinians in the last 10 months.
Hamas isn't in the West Bank? I'm not a journalist, but boy, do I know the answer to this. Mohammed Bayan Abed, a member of the Palestinian Authority Fatah, they are essentially the same thing, who lives in the West Bank, shared videos on his own social media accounts a few days ago telling the world that Hamas is an Iranian proxy. He said that Hamas is an extension of Iran. So what happened in response? Hamas terrorists in the West Bank, and I'll get to that in just 1 second, found Muhammad, shot him in the leg, documented it, and posted it online. This was in January 2023. January. And now in August 2024, a senior Hamas commander still has the audacity to say that Hamas does not have a presence in the West Bank. Honestly, I get it. I truly do understand why they say these things, because they are literally speaking one-on-one directly to all of the people who have already been brainwashed. So anything Hamas says goes. It just helps to continue to reaffirm all of the lies and misinformation that they have brilliantly told. And not only told, gotten the majority of the world to believe. I mean, take last week, for example. Now, I went to X to see what people's reactions were. And while none of this is actually that surprising, it opens up your mind a little bit more to see how much damage really has been done. I'm talking like real people saying real things that they really, really mean. You cannot make this up. Look at what people said. This is the released picture of the terror suspect who lit a synagogue on fire in France. This Twitter account, Middle East Observer, writes, "That's the perpetrator? Your thoughts." Let's see what people's thoughts are. Yaz_Mina says, "What Muslim dresses like that? Obvious much? We know this is a Zionist or Islamophobe." Ali writes, "Wrapping the flag around the waist, wearing the keffiyeh like a hijab. Like, bro, do you homework before you impersonate WTF LOL?" I cannot. R exclamation point posted this meme of a Orthodox Jew on a walkie-talkie saying, "Shut it down," basically implying that it was a Jewish person that lit the synagogue on fire. And my personal favorite, those Zionists masters playing the victims, satanic psychopaths. From a Twitter account by the name of Peace Around the Globe. Peace Around the Globe wrote that. So everyone wants to shout for a ceasefire, to end the horror, to end the violence, to end it all. Yeah? Who could make peace with somebody that is this unreasonable? How does one live next to or negotiate with a cult of savages that have zero value for human life? Israel is dealing with a deranged religious death cult that wants to sacrifice their own people for blood money and to tarnish Israel's reputation. These are stubborn warlord psychopaths that do not value human life, not even Muslims. So welcome to the world of being an Israeli and a Jew, at least the ones who support Israel's right to defend itself from enemy terror groups. The pro-Palestinian movement has been falsifying, gaslighting, misdirecting, misinforming, and manipulating the entire global community in regards to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Parallel to this falsification, misdirection, misinformation, and manipulation, Israel, on the other hand, has been fighting back with facts. Look, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but you are not entitled to bending a known human truth. And yet somehow, all of Israel's attempts to use facts to put out a fire and warn the world has simply fallen on deaf ears. Listen, Jim and CNN have covered the death of innocent life inside of the Gaza Strip. And so has Fox. Media outlets in the United States of America have recognized that there is despair inside of the Gaza Strip. I have recognized, a Zionist, that there is despair inside of the Gaza Strip. You honestly at this point have to be utterly ignorant not to be able to. But somehow, so many on the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas side are not willing to recognize, and if they are willing to recognize it, are not willing to admit the cancer that is causing all of this despair. No wonder this double standard card is pulled in every single scenario. Because without it, there would be no need to have an argument. And well, just like we saw Osama, a senior Hamas official, he didn't feel the need to continue and have a conversation. Well, you know, it's pretty hard sometimes to have a conversation when you yourself are the reason there is a conversation in the first place.